Well, it looks like we're finally getting somewhere. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire, and this has been confirmed by the United States and Qatar. So we finally may be witnessing the end of this horrible, horrible war. Mediators to Gaza ceasefire deal and a plan to free hostages. Israel says details are in flux, but they will be confirmed tonight, according to Netanyahu. Israel and Hamas agreed to pause the devastating war in the Gaza Strip. Mediators announced Wednesday raising the possibility of winding down the deadliest and the most destructive fighting between the bitter enemies. And I think this is no coincidence that it's happening within 5 days of Trump going into office. And in fact, he was part of this negotiation. The three-phase ceasefire deal promises the release of dozens of hostages held by militants in Gaza and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners in Israel. And it will allow hundreds of thousands of people displaced in Gaza to return to what remains of their homes. So it looks like they'll be able to return to their home. Now, as you know, there really isn't much there. Almost all of it has just been destroyed. So I don't know what's going to happen when they return home. It also will flood desperately needed humanitarian aid into a territory ravaged by 15 months of war. The Prime Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed, said the ceasefire would go into effect on Sunday and that its success would depend on Israel and Hamas acting in good faith in order to ensure that this agreement does not collapse. U.S. President Joe Biden tooted the deal from Washington, saying the ceasefire will stay in place as long as Israel and Hamas remain at the negotiating table over a long-term truce. So it could be that this is the end of the Israel-Hamas war if they can stay at the negotiating table. And I suspect with Trump going into office within 5 days, that's going to happen. And that's probably why this is occurring. Biden credited months of painstaking American diplomacy for landing the deal, while noting that his administration and President-elect Donald Trump's team had been speaking as one in the latest negotiations. Yeah, I think it's more Trump's influence in the situation. It does not appear that Biden was really able to get any of this done in his entire term. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has not commented on the announcement. His office said in a statement that the last details were still being ironed out and that it hoped they will be finalized tonight. So we should know very, very soon. An Israeli official familiar with the talks who spoke on condition of anonymity said those details center on confirming the list of Palestinian prisoners who are to be freed. Any agreement must be approved by Netanyahu's cabinet. And again, this agreement is going to include the release of 33 women, children, and older adults and wounded civilians in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian women and children imprisoned by Israel. And this is 33 women and children and adults of the nearly 100 people still captive in Gaza. Now, Israel's military believes at least a third of those are dead. But if a third of those 100 are dead and 33 are released, you'd have roughly 33 still left. And I suspect those would also be released as the negotiations continue to unfold. So what does the deal mean for the war? The agreement would bring relief to the hard-hit Gaza Strip, where Israel's offensive has reduced large areas to rubble and displaced around 90% of the population of the 2.3 million, many at risk of famine. So we can all hope that this is the end of this horrible, horrible event, and that this will hopefully pave the way for not only peace negotiations, but for a long-term deal to really resolve the problems that have been going on here for a very, very long time. And I suspect the solution will be a two-state solution. We'll see if Netanyahu and perhaps the person who replaces him will be willing to do that. Stay tuned for more. I'll certainly keep you updated. Hey, hit that like button and the subscribe button if you appreciated this video. We'll see you later. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and if you want to support the channel, visit patreon.com/Reason and Theology.